Last time on A Few Beers and a Shot.
Dude, Bert Spiedelspackle, Mr. Spiedelweiss, was talking about the moon landing
All right,
being fake
Let's
and
not
all
talk about that right
stuff
now.
and
Let's talk about this in the
whatnot.
next episode. On this episode of A Few Beers and a Shot, we'll be drinking Brothership Brewing's Area 5.1 and continuing our conversation from last time on a conspiracy with the RFK and the moon landing. Here's Juan and Kyle.
Hey, everybody. After a couple of attempts at doing this intro,
We finally got it right.
kind of, we're back.
Kind of, yeah.
And we're doing another episode.
Yes, we are.
And we're drinking the Area 5.1.
Yes, from Brothership Brewing in Mokina, Illinois, which isn't too far from here.
Nope.
And there isn't a lot about this specific brew, except that it's a German-style Pilsner, and the ABV is 5.1.
Yes.
They actually, I was looking at their website, they have some crazy sounding names as far as some out-of-this-world kind of names for brews, like Sim Cosmos and Sauced and Spaced and Echoes from the Void, Hop Tracer, and Plasma Wave, which is a strawberry supernova candy-inspired sour ale with strawberry puree and pink square candy, which that actually sounds pretty good.
Spinkware candy?
Pink square candy.
Spinkware candy.
Pink square candy,
Spinkware candy.
i.e. strawberry starburst.
Good stuff.
Just saying. They have some of their stuff sounds pretty cool. So we'll see how this tastes. And they actually have hard seltzers too, or classified hard seltzers. They have a melon margarita, a rum barreled aged pina colada, a pineapple, and a tangerine lime.
So,
And they're in Mokina, so they're not too far away from us.
I want to get a sip of this before I gotta go pee.
Ooh,
because we've had a long night of recording, dude.
Yes, but it's what you do.
It's what you do when you do it for the love of the game.
Exactly. So cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Area 5.1.
Yes. It's good.
It's
good. Smooth. I love it.
This one's good.
Yes.
I do have to say, from the course of tonight, Brewski's my favorite.
Yeah. It's definitely the mildest. I don't want, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's mild in a good way, where it's something you could drink all day.
Yeah, this one I think you could drink all day too.
It makes you like, how did Theo Vaughn put it? Makes you punchy, and then Joe Rogan said like, no, you gotta they're piss magnets. So I'm gonna go pee, introduce the beer, and say what we're gonna talk about.
So like I said, we were talking about Brothership Brewing out of Mokina, Illinois, drinking the Area 5.1. And we'll be continuing our conversation that we had about the RFK running for president and some of the conspiracy theories behind him, as well as the possibly fake moon landing that was covered on a latest episode of a Joe Rogan podcast, and a couple other things just come along the lines of this conspiracy theory, because there's just so much out there that either one can kind of debunk the fact that the moon landing happened, or maybe we were there before we landed on the moon. I don't know. There's just quite a few things that either way you look, I mean, there's a lot of things that are unanswered. And the older I get, the more I think about it. And
what are you thinking about?
About the moon landing. I mean, well, first of all, let's talk about the beer real quick. So it's very light.
It's called Area 5.1.
It's light. It has a very like bread aftertaste. Like,
I wouldn't say I felt it was kind of sweet.
For you, all right. For me, it tasted like bread. I had a very yeasty, like bready type.
But it feels a little bit sweet.
Yeah.
In the aftertaste.
But I still feel like bready.
For sure.
Like,
that's probably the yeast. It's the yeast, baby.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's very yeasty at the end, to where you're like, okay.
So I definitely butchered the dude's name because I was trying to be funny with the beer fest thing. But
Yes.
Bart Seabrel was the guy I was listening to with Rogan, and they were. I didn't listen to the whole podcast. I was at work and I was in.
Dude, it's
mind-boggling.
Well, all right. First of all,
the takeaway
when it comes from the moon landing itself. All right. How was the camera there before they got there?
Well, here's the thing.
How does the camera? So the dude who really stepped foot on the moon first was the dude with the camera to videotape them.
Let's step back. The whole thing is they can't even get past the Orion belt because of the radiation, which is a whole thing they were talking about, and it was a.
Well, I'm starting at the moon landing itself, and then moving towards that part.
Okay, so the moon landing itself, we've come to the realization, or if you want to believe it or not, the fact that it was a mock-up. It's not real. It was fake. Were we there? No. Do we know if it was real or not? No. We're going off research and hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to an expert like Bert Siebel.
Well, some of the things he said during that podcast, dude, like he was interpreting words to support his own conclusions.
Right. Conclusions which are...
But I'm just saying, but some of the words that were said in that podcast, like there was part of it where it's like they were talking about specifically, I think it was in 2014, a different group that was trying to get through the atmosphere to go into space, wherever it was. And they said that there's a radiation that would be harmful to people.
Yeah, it was like 1,000 times the force of an X-ray.
But we're talking about like harmful to people and instrumentation.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that means that this. And even Rogan was like, okay, but he's talking about like instrumentation. But I'm thinking even further, like, okay, they're trying to figure out how they can be more successful with not damaging these people through this radiation because they know more about it.
The whole thing of that podcast was, well, the part that I got through was Joe Rogan was playing devil's advocate.
You had to with that guy because he was just all like...
He was a news guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, it didn't happen, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just playing devil's advocate, which is what I got. It was getting a little bit conflicted. But I didn't get through the whole podcast. But like I said, they were talking about it. It was a basic breakdown is they were going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
This guy saying, it wasn't real. And Joe Rogan's like, well, why? What if? Because, they were talking about secret state, like how powerful the radiation of the sun was, and the Orion belt radiation, and all that junk, which is plausible. And it's like, well, we don't want to give that because they were like, oh, well, we know the radiation of the sun is this. It's like, yeah, but the Orion belt's this. And we don't want to give that information out because if the Ruskies get it, they might jump the gun and they'll get ahead of us. Yeah, the Ruskies. The Putins, they'll get ahead of us in the arms race.
Putin was a baby.
You know what I'm saying?
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's a whole different I don't want to say if you want to call it an arms race now, but call it what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was some like good points that he brought up, but I was just thinking about like if you what am I trying to go with? Like, clearly there's a lot of questions that come up with the moon landing that we look at it now. Like, how was the camera there already? How was the shadows the way that they were? How is the flag the fucking way that the flag was? Like, how is all this plausible? Like, this shit had to have been there before you guys got there.
So let's get down to brass tacks really quick. Do you believe the moon landing was real? The 1969 or whatever moon landing.
I mean,
photos, and it's like one small step for man, one
that's the thing.
big
Now
step
that
for mankind.
when you think about it now, because of the technology that we have and everything else that we have in the research, no.
Because you had Neil Armstrong and what was the other dude's name?
I forgot the other guy's names.
Because that's the dude that just died.
Oh, Buzz Aldrin?
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin. And they were like, well, once they're gone, we can release the shit, kind of like the Kennedy stuff.
But my thing is like, it's one of those things that you want to believe that happened.
Here's the thing. If you fart in space, will you hear it? In your suit?
I don't know. Would your head explode?
Maybe. Just a red blot in the helmet.
Yeah, you're just sitting there like, oh shit. Oh, just blow up. You're just like,
too much gas.
The pressure builds up. It's a mega fart.
Yeah. I just think about it when I see those bean commercials.
Well, I mean, it's just that in that podcast, there was so many things that were brought up, and there was a lot of information.
Oh my god, dude! Yes, you. Here's the thing. So things we could talk about in this episode because we were going about it in the last episode. And you were like, no, in the next episode.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Kennedy stuff and the Sputer film, and we were talking about the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could say it is a conspiracy theories episode part something point infinity, but it's all relatable because that happened during that time, and we're getting to that time again. Everything's coming back full circle. Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, they're playing arenas. 90s are coming back. 1960s are coming back. Everything's coming full circle. We can't let go of the past. That had nothing to do with it, but
okay, yeah, I was wondering what was going on with that. Well, there was one part of that podcast that really was interesting. I think it was called, was it Starfish Prime?
Yeah.
Where they set off a fucking nuclear bomb
above
Hawaii.
Into space.
Just to blow a hole into the radiation, and all it did was fuck up Hawaii.
Yeah, it fucked up their telephones and everything. Yeah, it knocked out like I don't know how many
300 streetlights.
Yeah, something. Like
and I'm just like sitting there thinking, I'm like, and as it like they were talking about, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, so there's an impenetrable radiation field around the world
that would kill basically somebody who goes through it and back.
Yeah,
like you go through it and you come back, but you're gonna die of cancer when you get down there.
And I feel like just talking about that would be interesting than being like, oh, we sent the dude to the moon.
So here's the question. Isn't that why they supposedly sent chimps out in space first?
Yeah, because they didn't care about a fucking chimpanzee.
Right. So then in the podcast, they're talking about like...
mannequins.
Yeah, exactly. Mannequins. That's what I was getting to.
Mm-hmm.
So we sent chimps out.
And
came back.
Animal rights groups came involved, and I can't send chimps.
So it's a whole thing where, like, what do you like? Because they didn't bring that shit up in the podcast.
No, I know
about the chimps. Like, didn't they say chimps out first?
There's movies about that shit too.
Right. There's Planet of the Apes movies.
Well, no, there's that Matthew Broderick movie from the '80s where he was working in like NASA or whatever, and they sent chimps to space.
War Games?
No, it was a different movie. But even so, like, I think it would be interesting to like for the world to know, like, hey, there's an impenetrable radiation field.
Yeah, around the Earth
that we cannot get out of, because if we try to, it'll kill us.
Oh,
like, I feel like cancer. But I'm saying like I feel like that would be something interesting to know about.
I didn't know about it until I heard the podcast.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like
my ignorance knows no bounds.
I feel like that kind of knowledge would be more interesting than we need to get to the moon before the Russians do.
Yeah.
You know, and then you show it and you're like, look, this can't happen. Nobody can go there. We can't go there. It's impossible to go there. Why? Because there's this radiation field around the Earth that will give us the worst radiation sickness known to the human race.
Well, they were saying it was like the furthest we've gotten, other than like the Mars rover and all that stuff, it was like
it's 1,000th.
1,000th.
Yeah, of the
the actual distance. Yeah. So like all the photos where they were like, "Oh, here's the Earth and we're in the moon station," it's like they were all fake.
Well, the space station is not that far out.
I'm talking at that time.
Though. Yeah,
they were like it was all
fake. Yeah,
yeah.
But I feel like if you came up with those facts ahead of time, like right off the bat, I think that would be more interesting.
Yeah.
Than going like saying that they went to the moon and didn't go to the moon. So, I think it'd be more interesting to be like, look, we can't go to the moon.
So here's the thing. The thing Bart Sibber was saying was like, he's like, even if those guys didn't get a medal for going to space, they probably still got a medal for the best kept secret in fucking U.S. history. Because they're like, you could go on about the Vietnam War, you could go on about
WW2. Well, that was another thing when they were talking about the Bay of Tonkin incident, where the CIA signed off on killing all those people, and they're like, even Congress was like, yeah, we could kill all of them. It's
there was hundreds of thousands of people that died.
Yep.
U.S. people that died. But they were going on about all that, and it's like, even beyond all that, they would probably still get a medal because they kept that secret for, what is it now? What was it, 1969? You're going on 60 years?
Yeah, you're at least at 60-something years. Yeah.
55 years, something like that, 45 years. And Neil Armstrong's dead. Buzz Aldrin, did he just pass away not too long?
I think one of them still alive. Well, the one was like quoted talking about not even doing it.
Buzz Aldrin, I think. Yeah. So it's crazy to go on and thinking about like these dudes fucking just kept that lie going for fucking 60 years. God damn.
Yeah.
And then they were saying all about like how like, well, all that data could be faked because you could just see those dudes on the screen. All you see is numbers.
Well, they were saying that the people in Houston control couldn't tell the difference between
an actual landing and the mock-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Buzz Aldrin is 94 years old.
He's still alive?
Yeah.
Wasn't he like going senile?
Damn, he just got married in 2023.
Good for him.
How old is this bitch?
Is that Nicole back?
Damn, his wife is 64 years old. Anka Fowler. They got married in 2023.
Sounds like a Russian spy to me.
She licks his butthole daily.
She licks his buzzard.
Yeah. Newlywed Buzz Aldrin says wife Anka Fowler is the wizard.
The Wizard of my Blizzard.
The Wizard of Oz package. Brains, heart, and courage. And she gives him a rim job daily.
Oh, that's so gnarly, dude.
That's a woman who does things for her country.
You said it,
She
dude.
takes one for the team.
Yep. But getting back on topic.
Sure.
What is the topic? Is the moon landing real? Well, was the moon landing real? No, I don't think it was.
So, dude, I feel like going all right, at the time. So you got to think back about the time period, right? So the time period, everybody kind of believed what the government told them, right?
Right, because like they said, you didn't have social media.
You had limited access to media.
Yeah.
You had limited access to information.
Yeah, school.
So when something happened, you thought it was real.
Yeah.
So I could see at that point in time, everybody believing that it was real.
Right.
And then the older you get and the further in time you go, you start realizing, like, wait a minute, it's kind of weird. Like, how did that camera get there? to watch him come out. Like, the camera was there when he walked on the moon. So the camera had to be there before he got there for that to happen.
Or they could have set it up and said, hey,
but if he set it up, then he already walked on the moon. So then it's kind of like it defeats the purpose of doing it instead of holding the camera and walking out while you're holding the camera. So, I mean, you got to look at it that way. So, I mean, but that was the period of time where you believed everything that the government told you. Because
because it was, you either believed it in school or you believed it on the news.
So, I mean, I guess once we became intellectually able to question these things is when we started to realize that a lot of those things were false.
Well, it's one of those things where you're like, how much information am I getting fed? Well, and you got to filter that, you know? What's being brought to me, and you got to take out, what do I believe, what do I not believe, what's plausible, what is not plausible, and all that stuff. And that's when you start to question things. How Kennedy was murdered by the mafia.
Well, and you got, right, before we go into that, let's finish the moon landing part.
It was fake.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but you also got to think about, like, how did Neil Armstrong feel about it? How did Buzz Aldrin feel about it? How did those guys feel about the fact
that? Have you seen the footage of, like, Buzz Aldrin, like, slipping on there?
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like,
so
I'm not talking about the interviews years later. I'm talking about as this stuff is going on. And they're training. They're going through this training because they believe that they are going to do something. Like, I wholeheartedly feel that these guys went through training to actually do this.
Well, and even they talked about it, how they were like, I don't want to say they were paid actors, but they were trained to act like this is what's happening.
Hang on, before we get into that part of it, these guys were actually military soldiers who went through training, who became astronauts, who are going through G-force training and all this other stuff. Yes. Now, I'm talking about, like, they were going through that part of it because they fully believed that they were going to the moon. And then you have, what's his name? Oh, God, what's his name? Werner von Braun, head of NASA, says that there's 1 in however many chances that they would actually be able to go to the moon.
Right.
And he tells them, look, it's not going to happen. You're going to die if you go up there. Mm-hmm. It's more than likely you're going to die. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that it happened.
Yeah. That's what
we're going to set this whole thing up, and you're going to play this part. I want you to think about it in the perspective of these guys. Like, they held on to this lie
for a better half of a century.
But I want you to hear about it because of the shame. Just think about, like, but I'm talking about the military guys.
Yeah.
The shame that they had because they weren't able to accomplish the mission that they were supposed to do. So they had to lie about it, and this is a shame that they held on to. Like, I was thinking about it today as I was listening to that podcast. I'm like, I could think of them holding on to it because they don't want to be ashamed that they weren't able to do something that they set out to do.
Right.
So what they had to do is hold on to this so that they can go forward.
Yeah.
Because do you think that any of them wanted to come out and be like...
it was the whole arms race thing.
No, but
I'm
not talking about that part of it. I'm talking about their military persona of what we have to do.
What I'm getting to.
But I'm talking about them personally, not about the government or anything else. Like, they didn't want to admit then that it was a lie because they would feel ashamed that they weren't able to accomplish what they were set out to do.
They took that shit to the grave.
And I'm saying, and I feel like that's why they did it.
Yeah,
it was just to hold on to them.
Well,
for before, like, because how would you feel if you trained your whole career? Your whole career, you got picked and selected because there's the group. There's a book that's called The Right Stuff that was built about the test pilots of the Air Force and the Navy to then become astronauts to do, I forgot what Apollo mission it was, whatever one it was. But there was a book called The Right Stuff. They actually made a movie and a TV show about it. Anyway, you go through this whole training, all these G-force trainings, all these like speed of light trainings, everything to make it through. You go through all this training. This is the highest, the peak of military aviator training. Yeah, but I'm saying like the top military aviators in the country are invited to this program. And you go through all of this training, and then they sit you down, and they go, look,
you just got to take some photographs.
You got to do this in this studio, and that's it. Yeah. Like, how would you feel putting your whole career, dude?
Maverick wouldn't have put up with
that. No, but I want you to see, like,
Tom Cruise wouldn't put up with that shit.
But you got to think about, like,
Tom Cruise go to the moon before Neil Armstrong.
But their pride is on the line, dude. Like, and it's you either you play the part or you get killed, right?
Nut up or shut up.
So I mean,
yeah,
I feel bad for them in that regard that they had to do that. Because I feel like for if they were the way that I would feel like that it was devastating that they had to hold on to that.
And that part, on that regard, fucking sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you put all this time and effort.
Years.
Yeah, years of your life.
Decades, maybe.
Going through this training because you feel that this is what you're going to do. And then you find out that it's actually impossible to do because you will either die or have the most grueling, terrible, nuclear sickness, radioactive sickness, and you have to lie about it. I don't know. I just feel like that is awful. I don't know. That's just me. But as far as the moon landing goes, I am wholeheartedly believe that it did not happen. Especially after watching videos and going through stuff, I just feel like it's not true. It didn't happen.
Doesn't that come into play with the whole Superman theory?
What do you mean?
But the whole man going into space thing? Is that... I forgot. I thought it had something to do with the Superman theory.
I don't know.
About guys going into space.
I don't know about that.
Anyway. Yeah. It is kind of messed up that they like having to hold on to that kind of secret for 60 years plus, because Neil Armstrong's gone, right?
He died in 2012.
Buzz Aldrin's still hanging around.
Yep.
So
he just got a new wife last year,
and hey,
he's going strong, man.
He's got the new Anna Nicole model.
Yes,
but and he's let some shit slip
from
a couple of videos that I've seen. Not like, hey, it's out there, but like a couple of hints here and there, and it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
where it makes you like, yeah, it's fake. So
I mean, the camera and then once you really think about the camera,
the flag
everything else,
standing up, the shadows,
like all that shit there before they got there, it's just like, man, it's kind of really weird. How
and we get
there.
back to the Spooter film with that topic. So,
the Zapruder film from JFK.
Yeah. Zapruder film.
The Zapruder.
Zapruder film.
Yeah. I mean, you can even dive into RFK Sr.'s assassination,
right? And that's what,
which is also a whole other thing too.
Well, we're getting into the current Kennedy.
Yeah, RFK Jr.,
which is different from FRK or
no, RFK's son.
Yeah,
thus
I know. I'm
Jr.
Which he's currently wants to. He's a wannabe. candidate for the presidency.
So yeah, it goes back a little bit further when he he wanted to run for president for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party put a whole bunch of regulations on him specifically, saying that he could not go and campaign in Iowa before Biden. And he's like, why can't I do that before Biden? And like, if you go before Biden, you'll be disqualified. And he's like, well, Iowa is a state that we need to win. He goes, if I want to be president, I need to win Iowa, so I'm going to campaign there.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you can't do that. So that's when he left the Democratic Party and became independent. And then when he became independent, the very first ad in the fucking Super Bowl commercials was him running for president. And it was like vaudeville, like early 20s, late 30s type. I'm running for president of the United States. You know, and it was really funny. And I liked it. And I remember everybody that I was around, they're like, what's this? I'm like, RFK Jr. just fucking said he's running for president. And the best way to do it, the very first fucking commercial of the Super Bowl, everybody saw that he wanted to run for president. And the Democratic Party was like, nope, we don't want anything involved with you. And one of the best things that Trump can do would be to offer him the vice presidency, so that you had 4 years as a Trump president with RFK as your vice, and then 8 years of RFK as your president afterwards.
Before.
Well, the thing about that is that he's publicly put it out there too much to where they can't do it.
You think so?
Yes, because if he gets killed, then it's out there, dude.
If he gets unalived, you can't say that.
If he gets
unalived,
if he gets homicidal, it would basically be the complete obvious thing.
Yeah.
That it happened. Yeah. And there would be the best thing about how many platforms and free media and everything that's out there is that it would be clearly put out there that the government did it.
Yeah.
And he has access to all the files that he knows what happened to his family. He knows what happened to his family.
I don't think he does.
No, he does, because he even said, he goes, I know what happened to my family, and
that was a mob hit.
Well, no. He goes, I will die for what I believe in, just like my father did and my uncle did. And he knows what happened. He know. They all, the Kennedys know. There's no reason why his fucking cousin, who was a great pilot, fucking crashed in the middle of nowhere. And he was dead. With his, there's so many things. Like, they were eliminating the Kennedy family for a reason.
Because they're royalty.
No, I just feel like they were changing the status quo. And that's why he's at the point where he will live and he will die for what he believes in. And that is somebody that you need to run this country. Somebody who is willing to die for what they believe.
Here's the thing. I'm not against that. Because I would say it's a better future.
And he's a better choice than what's out there.
I'm not saying no to that. I'm just saying there's the forces that are working on that are much greater.
Well, yeah. But the thing is the more he stays in the eye of the public, makes it harder for that part to do what they want to do. The more public he stays, the harder it is for them to just blatantly kill him.
Doesn't mean they can't.
Well, yeah, but if they do, then they expose who they are. Because it's going to be completely obvious. Yeah. If you have somebody whose family has been assassinated by the federal government, be like, here I am, I'm running for president. You won't protect me because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're refusing to protect me. So I have to go find another company who is willing to protect me.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I'm putting all these factors into place where it shows they can't do it. They can't do it.
Basket, eggs.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They can't do it because then it proves everything he said.
Right. And it does.
And as soon as as soon as it happens and he proves everything that they say or he said, everything shuts down.
But until we as a nation become like, hey, you can't kill this fucking guy because we like him and we like the way he's going. Because at this point, I don't know the stats.
Well, here, but
I want to say 98% of the country's like, Biden's a fucking idiot.
No, it's about 110%.
Maybe.
It should be.
It should.
Anybody who thinks that he is in the right state of mind
needs
to just take care of themselves.
If you're taking into account foreign countries and otherwise, it's even about 1,000%.
Everybody in the world knows that this is a joke.
Yeah.
And the fact that they let it happen is a joke.
Well,
and all it did was
I don't think it started out as a joke. They were like, "Oh, he's gonna."
No, it was all a joke, dude, from the beginning. There's no reason why a guy who's been in government for 40-something years and hasn't done shit for his whole time finally becomes president.
Oh, did you hear
when he was one of the most? And then when they talk about race and everything else, one of the most racist people.
Yeah.
And was friends with the head of the KKK and read his eulogy and everything else that this piece of garbage was part of.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden he's the greatest ever. No.
And now they're trying to ban TikTok.
Well, they have to. The company has to be sold.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. There's a thing that went through. I forgot till when TikTok needs to be sold, and they're trying to find an American company to buy it. Because there's a ban coming through. Yeah, there's a thing about TikTok.
About the whole ban thing.
Yeah, but there's a thing about it.
Why did they try to ban it? Because that's the only way people can communicate and get out information and connect.
Because TikTok here is different than TikTok everywhere else.
Right. But here, why are they banning it?
Well, the thing is,
what does it matter if it's different from here or in
because
China?
Did you read the user agreements? The user agreements is where you have a problem. It's where it's a China-based company where they can have access to everything that's part of your phone. That's the problem with it. Okay. Because in China, TikTok is more used as like praise and things of like accomplishments and is shut down at a specific time. Okay. TikTok in China, I think, stops at like 10 o'clock at night, maybe sooner. I might be wrong. But there's a point in time where it stops and you're not allowed to use it anymore until the next day. And it's used as a completely different platform than what we use it for. Here, it's more of a data-driven, we collect your information with short videos and then create an algorithm to then further go after your information. TikTok, the user agreement for TikTok in the U.S. is insane. And you need to actually listen to it because actually Rogan reads the whole fucking thing. And he's like, this is fucking outrageous that anybody would put this on their phone.
Yet he's on TikTok.
Well, his company is.
Right.
But his phone isn't on TikTok. His personal phone ain't on TikTok. Yeah, but he knows how to manipulate the space because he wants to make money.
Right.
But he'll tell you, like, you shouldn't be using TikTok. He'll say, hey, don't drink beer. Doesn't mean you're going to not drink beer, right?
Right.
But he'll tell you, you shouldn't probably use TikTok because of what it's taken from your phone.
Yeah.
But you're still going to fucking scroll through it before you go to bed.
Of course.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, the information's there. You just got to be willing to read it and listen to it.
Mm-hmm. What was the point of that?
I don't know. Whatever it was, I said it.
The whole thing was like, the information's out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, here.
You got to pay attention to it.
All right. So that's what we're going to about RFK.
And hold on. Here's the thing. The whole thing with the House of Representatives banning TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, they couldn't come together to raise the minimum wage, but 80-something% came together to ban TikTok.
Yes.
Because they want some other app to come together and be the new TikTok, basically. Right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're getting at?
Pretty much.
So we're going to go tactic.
Tactic.
Yeah.
Tic-tac. Tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac.
I don't know. I don't have TikTok, so
I do. That's where I get a lot of my info. My phone's hacked.
Yeah. The Chinese are listening to your shit, they're buying things off of Wish.
They probably are. That's probably why I got my
LA
credit card
Express knows your fucking face.
God damn it.
Exactly.
I don't know. Irregardless, TikTok's entertaining. So, until we get a US based platform or otherwise, so shall be the case, because it's entertaining and fun, and I may realize I'm sounding a little bit ignorant right now, but you gotta do what you gotta do. It's you get your information somehow, whether it's A, B, X, Y, Z. You get your information, you gotta use the best way you can, and you gotta divulge that information yourself, and you gotta use your criteria to know what's best for you, essentially, whether it's reading the user agreement or whatnot. All that stuff comes into play. We're currently not posting on TikTok.
No, we are not.
I use it to get information, like I was saying, whether it's factual or not. It's something to talk about.
Yeah, but I don't see the point of TikTok. I'm just gonna be honest with
you. It's entertaining.
As
I was saying, it's entertaining. Like I was showing you, the drizzle. That's where it came from.
Well, yeah.
You're not gonna get that shit from YouTube.
But see, I get TikTok sent to me all the time. I'm just like, eh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to.
Yeah, I won't. I'm good without using it.
It's just the way I see it is, it's a source of information for me.
Sure. If you say so.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny shit, but
is it useless or useful information?
I would say a lot of stuff is useful.
Really?
Yeah, it's why they want to ban it.
Okay.
Because a lot of stuff is people trying to communicate. A lot of information is U.S. based that I see on it. I'm not saying people don't profit off of it, like the bad bitches and shit. But
the bad bitches really make their money from TikTok.
Coming to a close, was the moon landing real or not?
I'm gonna say that what was filmed was not real.
Agreed.
Okay. I'm going to say that wasn't real. And I believe that
JFK was shot by multiple shots. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I feel like our government had a hand in that.
And the mafia. Yeah.
And I feel like our government had a hand in his brother's death.
Yeah.
See, that's one thing we didn't even touch on, dude. Like, there's a whole thing about RFK's assassination that is even crazier than JFK's assassination.
And then we got to protect RFK as a national treasure.
Yeah, RFK Jr. should be protected, yes.
Yeah.
Because he is something that could get rid of the stain of the old regime out of Washington, which Trump started to do.
They got a clean house.
Trump started to do it, dude.
He did.
And the thing is that the status quo was like, whoa, we need to fucking change this. And how are we going to change it? We're going to make a fucking...
Bring us home.
We're going to make a whole fucking embarrassment to this country and put a fucking tard.
Revolution.
We're going to put a turd
Here's the thing.
Not even a tard. We're going to put a turd. We're going to put a turd as the president of the United States. And he's going to win by some crazy number for some reason. And he's going to have a vice president who's even a bigger turd than him. Who kept people in prison. The fucking vice president falsified evidence and kept people in prison so that they could work for free for the state. She was a piece of garbage. And the best part about it is that she only got to her positions because she had affairs with judges.
Well, here's the thing you got to think about, son.
I'm just saying.
You got to make ends meet.
The people who are quote unquote running this country are pieces of trash.
RFK Jr.
It should be Trump and RFK for the next 4 years.
Where do you leave Pence?
And then, no, Pence is a puppet too. Pence was a pussy. Okay, that's all he was. He was just a Republican that was put in place. You need to have the best thing. All right, so you have RFK in as a vice president for these 4 years. You bring a former Democrat who became independent because the Democratic Party didn't like what he was saying. The Democratic Party who's in office.
Bring us home, baby. Bring us home.
Not the Democratic Party of the people. So Trump, who went into campaigning as a Republican, brings in a former Democrat who's now an independent in as his vice president. You have now crossed the aisles of Democrats, independents, Republicans. You have now basically unified the parties by having your vice president be a former Democrat and now independent. To where now you do great for 4 years. That independent former Democratic president or vice president is now your candidate to be president of the United States. And he is former Democrat, now independent, also part of the Republican Party because his president was a Republican. So now you have somebody who is across all three aisles of Democrat, independent, and Republican. You have conservative, liberal, and liberal, all wrapped into one, and he's your vice president who will in 4 years run as president. How do you not run with that? You have somebody who's on all sides. How do you not run? How do you not run with that as your vice president, Tulsi Gabbard, who is a Democrat from Hawaii who is considered too conservative by her Democratic constituents to not be part of the Democratic Party. So now you even incorporated a woman veteran who was a liberal who is very conservative. You basically can run the government for the next 4, 8, 12, 16 years. Right there. RFK, or you go, actually it'd be 24 years. Trump, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard with somebody else. Tulsi Gabbard should be our first female president. And what the hell are you typing? Salmon? Slammin' salmon? Is that what you're trying to get to?
Yeah.
You just got me at a deep moment and you go to slammin' salmon?
Yeah. Because if ifs and buts,
candies and nuts,
yeah,
we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
There it is. The great, the late Michael Clark Duncan.
The champ
said it best. If a candy and a nut he said it best. And to all that you've said, which is what a lot of people would probably want, I include myself.
Mm-hmm.
If in the end the butt was that candy and the nut, Say it! I don't know why I can't. Yeah, we probably can't use the audio.
Yeah, let's not use that.
But there he is. Look at it. He's saying, like, say it. And there she is, like, if a candy and the nut in was it Korean?
Japanese.
So, yes, I say it, champ, but I try to introduce. So, without further ado, we bring this episode to a close. It's a lot of ifs and buts and candies and nuts.
Yes.
And
no Merry Christmases just yet.
No Merry Christmases. We're 8 months away. 7 months away.
7.
But
I think we might actually be done with this after this.
Oh shit! And there she goes. There she goes. We got another one of those.
Just so everybody knows, the On the Rocks Premium Cocktails Jalapeno Pineapple Margarita is definitely something everybody should pick up.
You can buy it at Target.
Yes, it is available at Target, and
it is delicious.
This is amazing,
yes.
And
you can squeeze lime in that.
Dude, you don't need anything.
You don't need to, but
I'm just happy that this was given to me as a gift, and that I was able to bring this here to use it because this is amazing, and I'm going to buy more of it myself.
Yeah. So conspiracy theories part whatever.
This is only the start of it.
Yes.
So there's more to come.
There's more to come, and we promise there will be more.
More conspiracy theories, more campfire stories.
Yes.
I still want to do an on-scene ghost stories.
We have to do that soon before,
But we could actually do a campfire stories without video at a campfire.
We do video.
You want to bring it to the house?
Yeah, we could do.
All right. Sounds good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Spotify.
Follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yep.
If you got us here, you could probably follow us wherever you go. So, here's to RFK Jr., I guess?
Yes. Hopefully, the country will wise up and do what they should do. So,
here's to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Oh,
Good night, everybody.
Good night.